How you doing? How you feeling? How's your day been? And we're here with another episode of Mutual Intentional Love. Today, I want to say it again. I'm Takara. And this is my husband.
Kylan, what's good, y'all?
I caught myself this time because last time I forgot to say our names. And if I remember our names, I forget the podcast name. If I remember the podcast name, I forget our names. You know, it's season 2, but I guess it's maybe season 3. Third time's the charm. Third time's the charm. It's gonna just flow smooth. Okay. So today, friends, how many of us have them? Did you hear the chair join in? Oh, y'all.
Yo.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That's all you got? That's wild.
That's all I got to that.
Well, yeah. So we're talking about friends. We're talking about being social, and just wondering what's it like for you guys. Like, for us, we like stay in the house and enjoy that. I mean, we would like to get out, but usually if we do get out, it's just us. Like, it's just us and our nuclear family.
For sure. Oh, you were expecting a follow-up to that?
I mean, you always have a follow-up to that, so I thought there was more.
Man, nah. I was just listening to what you were saying.
Short on words today, huh?
I mean, for right now, but they're definitely there, but
okay.
they haven't been required yet. You were getting us going, getting the episode started, and I was listening to what you were setting up here.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, that is pretty much the setup, is that, as far as being social goes, do you feel that it is a personality thing, or do you feel like, for those that are social, is it like, I want to say like a requirement, like, and I feel like to ask that, it's like, well, of course it's not a requirement, but a lot of times that's how it feels. Like, and I think that's because of the personality thing. Like, I'm like extroverted introvert. So like mainly an introvert, and therefore it feels like required to do like all these functions. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense, because I too consider myself to be an extrovert introvert, and on top of that, I would say I'm also more of a situational extrovert at that, and circumstantial. And I feel like that also goes to just really not just a personality trait, but also environment. And that plays a part into forming your appetite for social activities, as it were. Because for me, growing up, it was always just, most of my social interactions was a close-knit group. It was me, my siblings, my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the majority of my social activities that I enjoy. That I enjoy family as much as I do, because my family growing up, that was the majority of the activities. Like, if there was any sort of outing, it would still be a family outing.
Right.
We were all going out as a family. We would be going to, a restaurant or a movie, or if we just daily activities. We were going grocery shopping. We'd be going grocery shopping as a family. And so outside of that, there really wasn't too many expanded social activities to where it wouldn't necessarily be too much. Like the occasional extended family, like holidays or birthdays, the natural things where other family members would want to be involved. Those situations would arise for sure. And outside of that, it really wasn't too many other opportunities for that to take place. So that has been my comfort zone. That's been where I'm most comfortable within my family. So, and that's continued to even starting my own family now. That is largely my preference.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going out, it's to be social together.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be social with you and the kids, not necessarily expanding that to a larger radius. Which even with this has been uh, growth, a
Right.
lot of growth in stepping out and being more social. This is a new journey that I'm undertaking
Mm-hmm.
in broadening those horizons and interacting more and even starting conversations, which is largely something I would not do.
Right. Yeah.
So that's interesting for sure.
I mean, same. Yeah. And here we are.
Here we are. Here we are, folks.
Waiting on the folks, huh? We need some internet socialization
Yeah, yeah, but
engagement.
for sure, because that has been something we've been in action for and really encouraging you all
Mm-hmm.
to do. Those of you that are watching the episodes, you can all feel free to leave us a comment either here under the video or on other social media. Instagram most more likely would be the most preferred method because that's where you would likely get the quickest response and better engagement to where we could have more of a conversation back and forth. But
Mm-hmm.
we're also on TikTok and all the places, Facebook, everywhere.
Yeah.
Pretty much anywhere there's social media, you will find mutual intentional love. And with that comes also my account and my wife's account, which is very simply just our names, which are also linked down below in the caption.
Yep.
Yeah, man. So let's talk about friends, man. Let's talk about friends and friendship.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like for you?
It has been different over the years. I feel like, even if we take it all the way back to um, elementary school, because isn't that typically where people would make their first friend? Although, actually, I remember making my first friend, and it was before school started, I think. It was right because
You
I'm.
would.
Well, because she was the same age and lived on the same
That's
street as me.
ridiculous.
No, like it's just. I mean that makes it like
Yeah.
if she wouldn't have lived on my street, then it probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I get
But
it.
my two closest friends, like, yeah, it's because there was just families that lived on the same street.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's that. And because I was just trying to remember, like, had I started school yet? I don't think so. I don't think so. And again, it was just because they were on the same street. And then so once I got into school, I was always a shy kid, but I never struggled with making friends. Um, so yeah, but then I moved in middle school. So then I was the new kid. Still did not struggle making friends somehow, some way. I don't know, just whoever is in my class, and it's like, hey, now we're friends. Um, and then I was friends with my middle school friends up until high school, and then high school is when things started to like change a little bit, and I'm not quite sure why. I don't they just started hanging out with other people, and I really truly don't even know what happened. And I feel like that's what tends to happen. Like something will happen and then be like, what happened? Like time will pass. Like I don't know if we just grew separately or I have no idea. But it just ended up like fizzling out, if you will. I really don't know. But that happened. So then, same with like college, I ended up leaving. So I didn't really even have the opportunity to like make friends because I like switched colleges and then didn't stay. So there's that. And then you have work, and I usually don't like mix work and friendship. So, so yeah,
Yeah.
my you're my best friend,
Yeah.
and I'm totally okay with that. Um, it's always nice to have friends, though.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So, what would be your definition of friendship? What is friendship look like to you, or what should friendship look like to you?
Okay, so I would say loyalness and consistency. I do feel that some people, like how we talked about how every child needs like a different form of parenting. I feel like friends need a different form of friendship. Um, Sometimes, like especially like being a lot of times being an introvert, like you need an extrovert to like drag you, like just like this is what we're doing, like come on, like they just show up and they make you do something. Like I've never had that, but I figured like that would probably work out for me. But because otherwise it's like
Yeah.
you definitely have to, I'm not much one to initiate. And so, like, I'm probably not a good friend. I don't know. Maybe that's also the problem.
Oh.
Oh, babe. I'm just saying, because as I'm like speaking out loud, like that, like who knows? Because I'm not usually one to initiate because I'm comfortable at home, and but still, like you can call me, you can text me, like like I'm here. I'm a great listener. Um, so I just think that it just depends on the person as far as like friendship. And as always, communication is what matters. You have to communicate what it is that you need within your friendship the same way you would within your relationship. And that goes both ways. And sometimes you will have to compromise and like maybe I don't want to do that, but maybe they do. And if that's what's going to make you happy, then okay, let's do it. So what about you? What's your answer?
Wow. Well, I'd say for me, friendship, starting out as the youngest of four siblings, that I would say was the formation of my first friendships, were my siblings. So that would be the dynamic that would look like, because the ages were so different, coming down the line with me being the youngest. At different ages, I was closest to each of my siblings. So, my oldest sister, then my older brother, and then my older sister. At different ages, I would be closer to one of them and still be connected with the others, but it would shift to which one I was closest to at different ages. So I would say that was like the core, the start of friendships for me. And as far as school is concerned, I went to public school for kindergarten and first grade. And after that, I was homeschooled the rest of the way through. But for that period that I was in public school, I didn't really have issues making friends either.
Right.
Because even though I was more shy and reserved, it was it was a sort of gravitational pull that
Right.
the other kids were drawn to me.
Yeah.
So I had quite a few friends
Yeah.
in kindergarten and first grade, because for whatever reason they wanted to be around me.
Yeah.
So that was nice. So I did have those connections, and then going forward, it wasn't really, I spent most of my time in the house. I was a homebody. And the times that I was in other environments where I could have made the attempts to make friends, that really wasn't I wasn't really trying to do that, honestly, because that wasn't something I was seeking or missing in my younger years.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just doing me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and enjoying that. So, because I went to these accelerated classes on the weekends for gifted children, and they were a lot of different fun activities. So, there would be like French class or chess and a science class, an archaeology class that I really loved and enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
And so, all these different classes that I was at, I had opportunities to be social,
Mm-hmm.
but I still preferred, just soaking up the knowledge and enjoying the activities, but still staying to myself. I wasn't really trying to like mingle with the rest of the children because
I'm here to learn.
exactly, and I'm not here to be friends.
That's so funny.
I'm here to get my class in and then go home.
Right, yeah.
So that's what it was. And then as far as kids in the neighborhood, there really weren't too many kids in my neighborhood that were even close to my age. They were
Yeah.
all either usually older.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really anybody in the neighborhood that I would be like trying to be friends with. And then on top of that, I stayed in the house still. And the times that I was outside, I was with my siblings, not really trying to go and make friends with the other kids in the neighborhoods because there wasn't a need for it.
Right.
For me, the need for friendship didn't really hit home and developed until a little bit later in life as my older siblings had left the house, they
Mm-hmm.
went to college, and then it was just, one after the other was just I was losing my friends. They were literally leaving to go to college and start their lives and whatnot. So then it was just I somewhat became like an only child for
Mm-hmm.
a couple of years
Yeah.
where you would see them, holidays or whatever on breaks from school or when they would come for a visit or whatever. And that would be like the bulk of our interactions.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you're now at a place where it's like, okay, maybe a friend would be nice actually. I
Yeah.
think that would be something that would be it became something that I was looking for
Yeah.
and could appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, that is how I started to be branch out a little bit and try to be social on social media. But even with that, there was never really any sort of interactions that just took hold to say, this is a friend, a genuine friend.
Right.
Like I have made acquaintances here and there, and I did have a couple of people that I considered to be friends throughout one period in my youth where I there was an app on the Nintendo DS called Miiverse. And anybody that knows about Miiverse, y'all know it was a beautiful time. It was a beautiful time to be alive. And for us, it was a place where it originated as a social media for gamers
Mm-hmm.
to talk about games and all these different things that were going on. But it had the ability to draw on it,
Mm-hmm.
which was what I loved. And then I found a group of other artists that were using this app to draw.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was such a beautiful experience for me.
Yeah.
That I would say was like my first genuine experience with being social and having a friend group
Yeah.
that I was a part of.
Right.
And it was really nice having
Yeah.
those connections, but as the app was shut down, like then it was over.
Yeah.
And you're starting from square one again because of not having those other avenues to reach back out or reconnect or find them wherever because we were only there. So then I was in a space where I'm starting all over again.
Mm-hmm.
So the friends that I had made and the friendships I had developed were gone
Mm-hmm.
again. And so it's like, here we are once again. So
Mm-hmm.
now I'm back in this space of wanting a friendship, wanting companionship that was nowhere to be found, really.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it was just more time passing to where, it was seeking it, but not really finding it in any environment.
Mm-hmm.
Because, even with the job that I had, I would be, I did some landscaping work, and that's solitary. I was on my own because, why not? And then as a home health aide, you're largely by yourself. It's either you and your client, and
Mm-hmm.
that's it. So there were no real opportunities anywhere else to make friends.
Mm-hmm.
Nor did I really too much have the time to dedicate to it
Right.
to even build a friendship or seek a friendship.
Right.
But it's something that I still strongly desired and felt the need for.
Right.
So I would say in my later teen years, early 20s, there were a couple of individuals that I was able to build friendships with. But I would say the level of depth to those friendships was very surface level.
Mm-hmm.
And I played a part in that for sure because I am so private, or at rather was at the time, was very private and guarded.
Mm-hmm.
I would keep things at a surface level. It would never really reach a place where I would be like sharing so much of any of my personal business.
Right.
And it was the same for them. They would it was mostly, you know, the friendships that we would have would be based upon something. So we would either connect over a TV show or a book or some sort of something central to where that is what the core of our interactions were about.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily interpersonal relationship where it was about our personal lives and a genuine connection outside of that. It
Mm-hmm.
was more of a feeling and an energy that was pleasant
Mm-hmm.
to where it was always a nice time to be around. And I feel like that was something else that was an issue for me with friendships and attempting to build friendships. I would feel as if I was the initiator in many cases. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I would be the one reaching out, I would be the one checking in, I would be the one that would be extending all of these opportunities to deepen the friendship.
Yeah. So, like, do you think that, like, it just didn't click, that type of a thing? Because I don't know. You just said that unless it somehow makes sense for me and you, because
Go ahead.
you just said that that's what you were, and I just said that's what I was not. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah, but
but that's not how it was with us.
yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Um.
And I feel like with me, it would be, again, like I said, circumstantial and situational. You
Mhm.
know, there will be times where I would be like, I'm not doing this, not at all.
Mhm.
I'll wait for you to say something to me, and then I'll respond. or because I kind of got tired of being the one that would be the initiator in these situations
Yeah.
where I would be doing that, and then it would be times where I would wait for them to message me, and then my social battery is I'm not feeling it today. I
Yeah.
don't want to be social today. I don't want to have a conversation today.
Mm-hmm.
I don't none of it.
Right.
So I would be in the space where no, I'm not about to answer this message after we haven't talked for 3 weeks, and now you send me a message. I'm not about to run and jump and answer the message. Oh, how you doing? How things been? None of that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the desire to do that.
Yeah.
But that also could have been situational as well due to the place I was in my life at the time.
Right. Yeah.
Because there was bouts of depression throughout the years, and there were all of these other factors and circumstances that would affect my mood and how I chose to be social
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and lack thereof.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was part of it for me.
Yeah, that definitely happens.
And then also the people that I was encountering, they weren't exactly they didn't fit the vision I had for what a friendship would look like for me. So it was something that never fully clicked or connected.
Yeah.
It was all of my friendships had been simply what they were, what they were allowed to be from the both of us.
Mm-hmm.
If they had no desire to upkeep the friendship,
Mm-hmm.
it would just go away because I wasn't going to like force
Yeah.
a friendship, but I would allow a friendship.
Right.
So it would be whatever it was, I was fine with it being whatever it was.
Right.
And would take the interaction for the interaction
Right.
as it was. And with that being the case, none of them ever created a space or an environment to where I felt I could share openly or even had desire to share openly. I was more so, keeping things at a surface level to where, kind of like you have this mask on.
Mm-hmm.
People only see the mask and not what's behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's generally how things went for me with friendships.
Mm.
As well as not really allowing myself the opportunity to deepen friendships with the individuals that I had encountered. I kept them where they were, intentionally so.
Mm.
I wouldn't let people, I would only let people but so close to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's something that I have been able to grow in already in in, letting people closer than I usually keep them.
Right.
So that's been something that's been quite interesting to see develop over the years because even recently, it was a friend that I encountered like at least 3 or 4 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it hasn't really been until recently this year that we've been able to take our friendship to a place that is so beautiful for me. And it's something that I always recognized in this individual
Mm-hmm.
as an energy that I resonated with. It was the type of person that I would want to interact with, would want to be around. And we always were able to have these exchanges that were overwhelmingly positive
Yeah.
and substantial. They had substance to them. We were able to have real conversations. Even without being personal, the conversations always carried weight with me.
Mm-hmm.
And our interactions were off and on for years because, life goes on, we're busy doing what we do, but we would always circle back around to each other to
Mm-hmm.
check in.
Yeah.
And now, this year, we've had the opportunity and have been intentional about the opportunity to deepen those connections, to
Mm-hmm.
have more personal conversations, and it's been something that's been transformative for me,
Mm-hmm.
and really something special because
Yeah.
we had a conversation. I teared up and
Mm-hmm.
all of the things. It was very emotional for me to sit with that and
Mm-hmm.
really feel all of the emotions that come with it. Being vulnerable and open and honest and free to form this relationship. And then another added layer to that is not really often that you can find other men who you are able to have these conversations of depth and emotion with.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of connection that we have and the conversations that we have. We are open to saying what we feel. We are able to have these dialogues without concern of offending either of us. And we can express our emotions freely without judgment, without concern of judgment, without feeling like, oh, what are they gonna think if I say this? Is this too emotional? Is this too sensitive? Is this not what's viewed as masculine by the masses? That's really not a concern for us,
Mm-hmm.
and that's been something that's been very beautiful to have that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I would say it's literally the first time in my life outside of you, because you were the absolute first person that has been able to know me fully, that I've allowed myself to be known with the depth that I have with him.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just quite interesting seeing the connection and the friendship evolve
Yeah.
and continue to grow. So yeah, that has been my experience with friendship.
Mm. I was just thinking, like, as far as like those watching, if you're wanting a friend, how you go about to get a friend. And I just feel like a lot of times it's not really something that I don't know. Like, do you feel like you can just, I'm gonna go make a friend today?
I mean, I definitely have seen people that do that,
Yeah.
that have that thing where they can
Mm-hmm.
just go out and say, "Yeah, I'm gonna go talk to that person right now," and they become best friends.
Yeah.
Like there are people that do have that sort of personality for
Mm-hmm.
sure, but I feel like more so to the people that aren't so forward, aren't so assertive, you could be more intentional about putting yourself in the spaces where the type of people you would want to be friends with would be.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Like habits, things you like to do.
Yeah.
Would do something for yourself, but within an environment of people, and you'll probably find your people
Yeah.
and end up making a friend.
And be open to the interactions.
Yeah,
Well,
that's good.
because that's a big difference and distinction. You can be in a place full of other individuals that enjoy what you enjoy, but if you're not open to the interactions, a friendship wouldn't necessarily develop,
Right.
because you're just sharing space with another individual.
Right. or just there to learn, like
Yeah,
we just
or
talked
just
about.
or just there to learn.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I would say that would be my advice. Be
Mm-hmm.
open to the interactions
That's good.
and be willing to grow.
Agreed. Yeah. So, we hope that you do have a solid and strong friendship with those you love, and if you don't, and that's something that you're seeking, then hopefully that little tidbit of advice is something that could help you, and it maybe hopefully it will come within time,
For
very
sure.
soon.
And until it does, make sure that you're able to have a fulfilling time with yourself.
Yeah.
Focus, take that time that you do have to focus on you. Grow, learn, build yourself up in all of the ways.
That's good.
Yeah. Because when there's no one else, you always have yourself. So it makes sense to enjoy that time.
Absolutely. So until the next episode, y'all.
Peace. Stay well and prosper, everybody.
Thanks for making it to the end.
And much appreciation for all your support.
If you haven't already, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Across all platforms. And as always, stay well and prosper, everybody.